When Unsealed Spellbook was revealed several months ago, it was met with some negativity and a lot of theory crafting. Then the rune was released, and nobody used it. For a while, it wasn't clear who actually benefits from Spellbook, but recently, we're seeing the rune used in all 3 lanes. Let's take a look at why Spellbook is suddenly so popular and what champions can use it best. Unsealed Spellbook grants 3 major benefits. First, its passive reduces the cooldown of your summoner spells by 25%. Second, it lets you trade summoner shards at the shop to charge your summoner spells. You get your first shard at 2 minutes and subsequent shard charges every 6 minutes, up to a maximum of 2 shards at a time. And lastly, a newly acquired summoner spell will inherit the remaining cooldown of the summoner spell it replaced. This allows you to get flashback if you have 2 shards. For example, your flash is down, but teleport is up. You can swap out flash for something other than teleport, and then swap the available teleport to flash. And just like that, you have a fresh flash. In the mid lane, mages have started to move away from sorcery and into inspiration as their primary tree. The nerfs to Summon Airy, Mana Flow Band, Celerity, and Scorch, as well as the unreliability of Arcane Comet, have all contributed to this switch. Vladimir was one of the first mages to switch over. He wants to be able to run in and access the enemy backline, bursting squishy carries. In Season 7, Vladimir often used Storm Raider's Surge to do this, but its new version in Phase Rush isn't nearly as strong. Instead, having access to a low cooldown Ghost is a viable alternative.
Forward, Xiao out goes deep and finds another.
With a combination of Spellbook, Cosmic Insight, and CDR Boots, which are frequent choices for the Hemomancer, he can bring down the cooldown on Flash from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and Ghost from 3 minutes to under 2 minutes, meaning his summoners will be up for almost every fight. That's not all though. Vladimir's early all-ins can be deceptively strong from level 2 onward, so Ignite is a good option to gain control of the lane and force an opponent to play safe. If Ignite isn't used in an early all-in, it can be swapped out to Teleport and instantly be used to get back to lane.
Xiao Al, he takes aggro, level 4, he's chunked low, that's an early pull, Tian tries to finish it off, first blood, Tian.
After Vlad caught on, Ryze and Veigar swiftly followed the Spellbook trend. Having access to Ghosts later in the game can be huge for kiting, and in certain situations, Cleanse can be quintessential for teamfights. Ryze and Veigar are also considered weak in the early game and depend on hitting certain item breakpoints to become relevant. For these champions, access to an early teleport that can then be discarded is important for keeping a presence in the early mid lane game. Veigar is more of a niche pick, but if the tier 1 mages are banned out, he might see play. Expect Vladimir to show up mostly in the top lane where he can dominate lane versus tanks and some fighters such as Gangplank, and freely scale to the point where his team fight is very potent. In the top lane, and aside from Vladimir, there might be situations in which tanks like Ornn might run Spellbook over the typical Grasp of the Undying. In a melee versus range matchup, the melee champion seldom gets to proc Grasp and gain its benefits, so having Spellbook for lower cooldowns and even Ignite for the early laning phase can be useful. It gives him kill pressure in a gank scenario and makes him less prone to tower dives, as turret shots and Ignite can lead to kill trades. As a support, Spellbook is all about unconventional strategies in the post-laning phase. A support can theoretically start with Smite to give the jungler a stronger leash, start with Ignite in the laning phase while switching to Exhaust for teamfights. Switching to Teleport can be a valid strategy for unexpected flanks or to quickly get back on the map, and even the low cooldown Ghost to be able to run in and access the backline with more ease.
There goes Ming trying to get into the backlines, wraps around Bala.
Swapping for a lower cooldown on Flash can also help supports like Alistar or Rakan, champs that truly shine when they can surprise opponents with high-impact plays. On the flip side, a champion like Tahm Kench can run Spellbook to switch to Cleanse for late-game fights. He's usually the focus of pickoffs so that he can't devour and save teammates. Ming, RNG support, was the first to bring out Spellbook on his support Alistar. He explains in the post-match review why he decided to take it.
With Unsealed Spellbook as Alistar, you really don't need to find ways to cut behind the enemy team. You can go straight forward with your Ghost, with your Righteous Glory, and even your Hex Flash, and you can get engages even when the enemy team has already expended their own flashes.
From solo lane mages to engage support, Spellbook is finally getting some attention. Expect to see it used across the LCS and solo queue this season.
For more league interviews and analysis, subscribe to our channel. You can also find stats, discussions, and more on our website and mobile app at blitzesports.com.